Seeing way too many cats on the same shit. I've been meditating, fuck around and start to shape shit. I've been trying to kick the bucket, turn this shit into a space. What I got inside my blunt, I'll probably give your ass high.
Welcome in to the Double Down podcast. It is your boys Dustin and Dillon Dupree. Happy Skeens Day to those that celebrate, and welcome into the first ever live stream that we've done here on the channel. Hope you guys are excited because there's a lot of NFL content and news to kind of update you with and, get you up to date with in terms of fantasy football and the latest going on with that. And again, for those that celebrate Skeens Day or, Paul Skeens pitching, we will be talking about our lays of the day later on as well. And welcome in my co-host, Dustin Dupree. How are you doing today, my sir?
I can't complain. Ready to get this started. Also want to excuse any background noise. There's a puppy in the room. Got to keep her busy somehow, so she's chewing on a bone. But aside from that, good to be here. Excited to dive into some news and some bets and get this done. Yeah.
I'm down to, though, as well. There's a lot of news in terms of the 49ers to kind of kick us off. I felt like that was a good place to start since they have a little bit of a wide receiver situation going on at the moment. For those that aren't aware, they have about 3 dudes that are the main guys that are on the roster, including Brandon Ayuk, Ricky Pearsall, and then also Juwan Jennings, and then Demarcus Robinson is one of their new ads, a former player from the Kansas City Chiefs. However, Demarcus Robinson, as far as I'm concerned, is the first to kick us off on a list of, issues with the law.
Demarcus Robinson?
Yeah, wow. He had a DUI within the last year or so that potentially could get him into some potential, obviously he's already in a legal situation. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly if the NFL is going to suspend him or not, but it is something to monitor with this whole situation of what they have going on. And with that, Ayuk is well known to be on the PUP or starting on the PUP. He was actually just listed last Friday, including Ricky Pearsall, their other basically starting receiver. So both of them are on the PUP and were just listed. So on Friday, I think Ricky Pearsall's injury might be a little bit more minor than Ayuk, seeing as Ayuk, I'm pretty sure, had an ACL injury, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Ayuk's recovering from a bad knee injury. And I saw also some news that Juwan Jennings trade is unlikely.
Well, yeah, so that's the whole situation is, so with all of these receivers down, Juwan Jennings is like the one healthy one, and I'm pretty sure he has like one more year left on the contract because he signed a 2-year last year. But that's the thing is now he's like, this is the perfect time to try and get back, and I don't blame him.
Yeah, he's trying to cash in, he's trying to, make sure that he gets what he feels he deserves after producing at a decent level last year. My goodness.
Brought in the monkey. That's great.
You got to take that outside.
Yeah, no. I don't know if that's going to work in here, but
thank you.
For Juwan Jennings, he's hoping that it's going to work out for him in terms of the bag.
Sure, yeah. He I don't think, I highly doubt they'll dip back into such, they just paid Ayuk, he just got injured. They have a first-round capital investment with Ricky Pearsall, and Juwan Jennings, like you said, was paid. So we're now at this point where the Niners' hands are tied in multiple different ways, and they have to now figure out exactly who's going to be on their roster for the future. Do they end up trading Ayuk in the next year or two, like they did? And Juwan Jennings, I don't think his contract's necessarily long.
Yeah, like I said, he was a 2 years.
Yeah, so of course he's going to try to get an extension now.
Yeah,
again. But that's just a wonky situation. I do think Pearsall will be fine by the time season starts. So,
I think that definitely is a big opportunity for him, especially knowing that he doesn't quite have the same Juwan Jennings situation going on with trying to get a contract. It's a real, definitely bad situation for them. It kind of makes me think that he's healthy, he's part of their offense this year, and that's probably a key part of their plan. And especially to run him into the ground and use him as much as they can.
Yeah, they might try to do a combo of that. I mean, use him, but not to the point where he's going to be dead. But I think they're going to also do a similar heavy reliance on Kittle.
Yeah, I was going to say Kittle as well.
Purdy, with the uncertainty in the wide receiver room with all three receivers that you would expect to start, there's a lot of, the reliable one becomes instantly Kittle.
Yeah, straight up. I forgot about the music. My bad, y'all. That is a rookie mistake. I'm getting used to this setup still.
The music was playing the whole time.
Yeah, I think so. That's hilarious. I meant to just clip it. So getting into some more of it, though, that was pretty much the boat of it for the Niners. Definitely not a good situation for their receiver core, but with that being said, that is why Juwan Jennings was even listed or brought up in the rumor mill of a potential trade situation. So that covers basically what's going on over there. Christian McCaffrey does seem to be a little bit healthier from the little bit of research that I've done so far. So we'll see. I mean, the dude is getting to the later parts of his career and had Achilles tendonitis, which is never a good sign.
Any type of tendonitis is not fun, especially when you're a running back. And he's had heavy workloads over his career, regardless of whether it's receiving, rushing, what have you. So he's going to be relied upon, but they also, I think Shanahan understands that based on just last year alone, you can't rush him. You also can't put him in a position where he's going to get hurt again. You can't do that. That only hurts your team. 20 touches a game is even pushing it. I would consider that to be almost too many.
That's borderline of like the most that I think they'll give him.
That doesn't,
and that's probably a 16 range.
And that doesn't mean that he's gonna never have 20 touches. There'll be games he gets 20 to 25 because maybe he's feeling good, close to 30 potentially. But you're not going to see it every single game like you once did when in his prime.
No,
so
that's how it leads to injuries.
I mean, if you're considering 20 touches a game to be 5 receptions, which is still tough to average. I could see 20 touches / targets a game with about 15 carries roughly and about 5-6 targets around that area. So just because the targets will take a load off of his potential, his body, his workload. It'll take a load off because of the fact that you're not running in between the tackles. You're on the outside.
You're giving him a little space.
You have a chance to get out of bounds and or get he should. I know he's a running back and that's just not their style or his style, but he should 100% just take some notes from Tyler Lockett.
Yeah,
and just start going down, and they might buy him another year or two in his career.
100%, I agree. To kind of move on here, though, we do have some more legal situations, a lot more actually. It's the NFL is NFLing right now.
Yeah, side note, I will say, rough time the last few years to be a Chiefs wide receiver. You almost don't want to be because, granted, coincidence, who knows? But they've gone through a fat list of receivers that either have not panned out because of one reason or another, or look great and then get into a ton of legal trouble. Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy was a potential target of theirs, and they got him, and I'm pretty sure there was no legal ramifications.
I don't think Worthy's had any, but
I was going to say I mentioned him because he's one of the few exceptions.
Yeah. Fair.
I'm pretty sure they also had a run-in. Someone else had a run-in with the Chiefs. I mean, Kareem Hunt, that's a running back. But at the same time, they had the Isaiah Bond. He was a big target, if I'm not mistaken, of the Chiefs because he had similar attributes to Xavier Worthy.
Interesting.
Who they played for the same team in college, Texas. Isaiah Bond is now dealing with I apologize mixing them up for a sec. Very similar receiver, small, fast, shifty guy, just deep threats that the Chiefs were very much linked to, both of them.
Yeah,
they drafted one, and now the other one was undrafted, if I'm not mistaken, because of the legal ramifications.
For sure.
Outside of that, though,
real quick, I know you can't see the chat, but I know the setup do look real nice. And shout out to the Star Wars Obsession there in the chat because without him, this setup would not be possible in the slightest.
Shout out Obsession for sure. Appreciate you.
Legend.
Yes,
Legend.
sir.
To continue, though, I guess we'll go with Rashee Rice first, since he is kind of the one of the main dudes here with the legal ramifications. And last year, he did get into a multi-car collision that there was, footage of him leaving the scene and
walking away.
Yeah. So that has kind of come full circle. In terms of the fact that he was officially charged and will serve a 5-year probation sentence as well as 30 days in jail at some point within those 5 years. They didn't have an exact date. I believe he just has to serve those 30 days at some point, at like any given point in the 5 years. So it shouldn't affect his availability for this upcoming season. But what will affect him is a potential multi-game suspension that the NFL is already talking about. And as far as for fantasy, a lot of people were looking at Rashee Rice this season to potentially have a big breakout or to draft him at a steal, with this potentially not being something that would affect him. But clearly it is something that will affect him now, and drafting him might be very risky at this point, especially depending on how many games he misses. I'm going to go out on a limb. I don't know exactly what you think, and we can go over a little bit of this article again, but I'm pretty sure 6 games is probably the amount that I would suspect he's probably going to miss.
Yeah, I would assume a 4 minimum, 8 potentially maximum. 10 is 10 based on the NFL's history of letting certain situations slide a little bit compared to other. I mean, just for reference, Josh Gordon, I believe, was suspended a full season for smoking weed.
Yes,
yes, he was getting high and taking a few shots before the games, but
he was balling out still, too.
Yeah, but we're talking about, the NFL punishing people that smoke weed for a full season, as opposed to people.
Ray Rice
domestic violence.
We'll get into
Kareem Hunt, domestic violence or assault, whatever you want to consider it. Now we got Rashee Rice. I guess you shouldn't be named Rice and be in the NFL. It's just Rashee Rice after Ray Rice.
Anybody after
if your name is RR and your last name is Rice, just don't do it. It's not a good idea. Don't join the NFL. If you join the NFL, do not have a significant other until you're done.
How about just don't do stupid shit?
Sure, of course. That's a given. That should be common sense, which clearly most of these people don't have. Rashee Rice's incident, that's just an unfortunate one where you got to take responsibility in that situation. I know about it. I've learned from my own. But in the same sense, like, understand you're an athlete, understand you are a public figure, especially playing for the Chiefs. You're a little more public than maybe if you were playing for,
the Browns
or the Carolina Panthers.
Sure.
No disrespect, but
Sure.
There's a little more public eye on you, depending on where you're at, who's on your team, things of that nature.
The Browns is a bad one to bring up.
Yeah, I mean, either way, Browns have their own issue with their quarterback, with Deshaun Watson, but Rashee Rice will have to figure out what he's going to, when he's going to. The thing is, too, he can probably appeal if he hasn't already the 30 days.
I think he's going to again or try.
And I wouldn't, over a 5-year length, of probation. He'll have to do certain things, not get into trouble, basically just put his head down and go to work. And in all honesty, it's going to be a uphill climb for him in multiple ways, because not only is he dealing with the legal cloud over his head, but he also is coming back from a massive knee injury.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, caused by his own quarterback. I remember watching that play.
Yeah, that play was nuts.
Credit Mahomes, I guess, for the effort, but I'm sure if Mahomes looked back, could go back, he would not have done what he did to try to save that play in order to save his teammate Rashee Rice's knee. And now, again, the suspension maybe buys him more time to get healthy, but we've seen multiple times with ACL and knee injuries, Achilles injuries, anything that's severe with the lower half takes about a year to get back, and then it takes another year to get back to actual full playing
form. Yeah, being
full
where
speed.
You were before that.
Correct,
100%.
because if you're Rashee Rice, your main focus right now is those two things: your recovery and doing what you need to do legally in the legal process to make sure you don't get further in a hole. So they got some issues there, wide receiver in Kansas City. There seems to be a lot of names, but not a lot of answers necessarily. I think Xavier Worthy will have a big impact just because he's almost going to be forced into a role alongside Hollywood.
I was just say Marquise Hollywood Brown. I honestly think that he could have a big opportunity and role this season. Thinking back to last year, he came to the team injured, kind of coming off his own lower body injury, and took some time for him to kind of get acclimated, which is part of why I don't necessarily think Rashee Rice is going to necessarily come in and be a huge impact when he gets back to the team whenever his suspension is up and, coming back from that injury as well. But with Hollywood Brown, he didn't get a ton of opportunity, but when he was on the field last season, he got a lot of targets. Like Mahomes was looking for him when he was there. So coming into this season, knowing that he'll actually be there in the offseason to be, learning the plays, learning what Andy Reid has going on, he'll be probably a bigger focal point this year. And I think a lot of people are maybe kind of flying under the radar of that. And I know he's getting a little bit older. And again, he is kind of coming back from his own injury, but he is now a year removed from that. And I think even though Xavier Worthy is a great player, I think he still has a little bit more room to grow as a player, whereas Hollywood Brown can easily be that one this year. I don't know if it's necessarily going to happen. Mahomes likes to spread the ball kind of all over the offense, so it's hard to rely on one receiver that isn't Tyreek Hill now. And even then, Kelsey's not in his true form. I've heard he's lost some weight. I don't know if you've heard that. So, and that might be a good sign for him at this point.
I actually heard he denied that. I don't know whether it's true or not. I heard it was like, because losing weight could be a good thing or a bad thing.
Depends for receiver or tight end.
I believe the sense they were trying to put it in was a bad sense. Like it was a bad loss of weight.
Interesting.
And because he lost it too quickly, that they were saying or something. But he didn't. It was kind of a wonky little article, and it again, I don't.
It's real. If it's true that he did,
I would have to see images of him current day to be able to decide what exactly they mean by lost weight or whatever.
And training camps are starting, so maybe we will get some of those images soon. But.
Sure, you never know. But at the same time, for me personally, shares of the Chiefs offense, I don't think are ever necessarily a bad idea. But I feel like people need to get out of the idea of I need to have Chiefs offensive shares.
For sure.
The last 2 years have been evident of that. The two shares you wanted before this were Tyreek and Kelsey. Tyreek is long gone. Kelsey is starting to go down the hill. Mahomes was a great share you wanted to have before, but now he's looking at a point in his career where he kind of just does a similar Brady style of playing where he kind of just does what he needs to win.
His defense got better and he doesn't need to do,
as much
50 touchdowns.
Granted, I will say as well, not that he's not capable, but it doesn't look exactly the same as he's trying. When he does try to do those things, I don't think he's as successful as he once was without Tyreek and a prime without a prime Kelsey and a prime Tyreek. It kind of shows his abilities still are there, but it does show maybe he is not as upper echelon as we thought in terms of himself. You need every quarterback, certain quarterbacks elevate players around them, which I still do believe Mahomes does, but other players can also elevate the quarterback. Peyton Manning was a perfect example of elevating players around him. Julius Thomas, Demaryius Thomas, and Eric Decker were not looked at as all pros or even Pro Bowlers really until Peyton Manning got to Denver.
Yeah, 100%.
The other side of that too, like Wes Welker, who was he was a smart player in terms of who he played with. He played with Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. Probably wouldn't have had as successful as a career if he didn't play with those two guys.
Sure.
Mahomes has the ability to yes, throw downfield, make crazy looking plays. But you look the last 2 seasons, his interceptions are up, his touchdowns are down. He's not as efficient as he once was without those prime 2 guys. And that's not necessarily even a knock to Mahomes. It's more of a boost to who Tyreek and Kelsey really were at their peak. And you can even see Tyreek still has some juice. Last year is a weird situation for them with Tua and the way that all went down because of his health. They had to change the entire offense. So Tyreek kind of had, he's been in a whirlwind of his quarterback situation, but Tyreek could probably be a Hall of Famer when it's all said and done.
Guaranteed.
And that's not to say Mahomes won't be because he has 3 rings already, this, that, and the other.
Obviously won't be,
but you can sit here now and analyze Mahomes a little bit differently than what we used to. Like, in my opinion, at this point, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow elevate their teams a little higher than Mahomes. If you were to swap, the coaching matters as well.
Sure.
Because there's, out of those 4 quarterbacks, I believe there's 2 really, really good coaches. One of them being with Mahomes and Andy Reid, the other one being Harbaugh with Lamar Jackson. I think that Zach Taylor has been a product of Joe. Like, Joe has made him look better than he probably, and I'm a Bengals fan, so I could tell you this straight up. Zach Taylor is not a horrible coach, better offensive coordinator than he would be an actual coach, in my opinion, but he's still there. He's probably going to be there for a while. The other side of it, Josh Allen with McDermott, I don't think McDermott's a bad coach. I just think that McDermott is not necessarily the coach that's going to put Josh over the hump. You give Andy Reid, Joe Burrow, or Lamar Jackson, you give Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, or Joe Burrow, Andy Reid, and the Chiefs defense that they've had the last season or 2, it might be a different story. Granted, they all have different things that,
I was going to say, Mahomes definitely has the best defense right now of that group.
And then you could probably say Ravens are next.
Yeah, but that's also part of why
with their new additions,
Mahomes is not as necessary to those teams, to your point, or why he doesn't need to do as much.
Correct, but my point is that when he has tried to do it, in
the past couple of years,
it's been a little more interceptions, a little more turnover, not as much magic, still there, but not as much as we saw.
There's been a little bit more regression. I'll 100% agree.
Yeah.
And, there was times
you throw 50 touchdowns your first year, it's only going to be regression,
for sure,
regardless of who you are.
For sure. And so like there's times in the first couple of years you would see guys barely miss an interception or, it slips through their hand or something like that. And stuff like that has turned in the opposite direction the last year or 2. And I agree, though. He definitely has, in my opinion, it's not a laziness per se, but it's a comfortability. He's got so comfortable thinking he's like one of the best or the best in the league.
Overconfident.
It feels like him and Kelsey in particular, even though they're still going to the Super Bowl every year.
It showed, last year in the Super Bowl and then getting smacked.
100%.
The Eagles actually had a unit. a running game, an O-line, a quarterback that can do what he needs to do, along with the defense that can shut anybody down. They went into that, and it was like leading a lamb or a pig to the slaughterhouse.
Sure.
Or a dog to, outside. You dangle a bone and you're, okay, I'll come. It was the one thing too, I noticed a lot of certain things at the time when the Chiefs did lose that Super Bowl. A lot of people tried to say, oh, Mahomes did this, Mahomes did that, numbers wise. A lot, like 90% of his numbers were garbage time touchdowns where they were just trying to come back and make it respectable, because God in heaven, that was
sure.
So you could say, people could probably say maybe the Seahawks over the Broncos was, in the last 20-something years, was probably the biggest blowout of a Super Bowl. But
not the worst Super Bowl, but one of the biggest blowouts.
Sure. And the final score says it was a bigger blowout than last year. But I'm going to tell you right now, the dominance of last year was more impressive because it was done on every single level. Yes, the Seahawks did it on every level, but it was mainly defensively. From the first snap of the game, the Broncos pretty much lost that game because, and you can't blame Peyton Manning there. His center he got nervous, didn't hear the snap count, boom, gone, game's over. Right from the first snap. But, again, the one thing you can't doubt with the Chiefs, I will say, is Andy Reid, Spagnuolo, that defense. And yes, you got to give Mahomes credit. In the crunch time, he does typically get it done. But they showed a lot of weakness in the Super Bowl last year. I personally think that the fantasy shares of the Chiefs are – I don't think anyone is bad to have, unless if you're in a deeper league, maybe a Juju Smith or a best ball, Juju Smith, guys like that are decent options. But as far as if I want one person, if you're going to tell me pick one person on the Chiefs this year that you want from their offense for fantasy, I'm 100% taking my shot on Xavier Worthy, because everyone else either has too much competition, or Hollywood's not a bad idea, especially if in a redraft, because late you can snag him.
I think he might be a steal this year.
But Xavier Worthy,
that's
because
taking a chance still.
Yeah, because of their investment in him.
Yeah, his speed as well.
Yeah,
there's a lot of things.
Pacheco's coming off injury, just because we haven't really mentioned him. Hunt, older, still going to be somewhat serviceable, but not necessarily what you would expect from a normal Hunt. And then Kelsey, older as well. So there's going to be a lot to kind of, analyze as the season goes on with them. You also got to remember they are a first-place finishing team, so they will have a first-place schedule. That's going to be a tougher thing on their
it will be tougher for them this year too.
Yeah.
Well, let's try not to go on too much of a tangent, because we were still talking about some of the latest stuff here. But Addison as well is dealing with his own DUI situation and potentially could face a 3 to 5 game suspension type of thing in his own sense. So that, of course, doesn't necessarily bode well for the Vikings, but they will get him back at some point. I feel a little less weary or bad fantasy wise in terms of the fact Addison isn't coming off an injury compared to Rice, and he's going to be missing probably less games, I would think. But it definitely is still not good in terms of him, potentially facing suspension soon. And then to go on top of that, the last player that we have to talk about in this unfortunate situation, rough episode to start with in terms of all these guys dealing with.
Hey man, they made their life choices. It's our job to just talk about it and report it. What's going on?
Yep. And so the last guy here is Quinshon Judkins, rookie for the Cleveland Browns, running back, I believe from Ohio State. Yeah, I was going to say, I believe he played in Ohio State. He is also dealing with his own domestic violence case that could potentially lead to a suspension to start the year. It's uncertain how many games that would be if he does face suspension, which is most likely, seeing he's a rookie coming in the league, and they'll probably, that's never a good thing. Real quick, just to like starting off before you've even taken an NFL snap, not good to be getting in legal trouble, especially a domestic violence type of case. Before you've even played, it's just definitely doesn't bode well for your career, in my opinion.
I agree. Starting off with a pretty rough charge too. It's not something that's should be taken lightly in life in general. The NFL typically does, but we'll see how it plays out. Promising player, promising situation, not a promising, promising situation in terms of where he landed in the draft,
and
not a promising situation in terms
off the
of
field.
what he did off the field. So
for sure,
looking into that, we'll see more as the next couple months roll
as
around.
it kind of unfolds.
Sure. And Dylan Sampson's a guy to watch in terms of Dynasty as well as redraft, because their running back room is now a little, you got Ford and Sampson, very similar type of players to kind of both receiving backs a little more than they are true running backs.
Sampson's not necessarily, I mean, he definitely can be used as a receiving back.
You should also, you forgot to put the sign above your head today that says Dylan Sampson Lover.
I don't have a sign. I have a whole.
Either way,
it's a whole page.
Either way, you have what you need, what you have on him. You're a little higher than I think the world.
I was gonna say I'm the highest guy on him for sure.
Yeah, and that's fine. I truly
I'm
think
okay
he's a good running back. I think he'll be fine. I think the Judkins situation helps him a lot in terms of potential playing time. The other thing to think about, if you're a Dynasty Judkins owner or Sampson owner, or if you're thinking about drafting these players in redraft, is a lot of times legal ramifications, legal processes don't play out for a year or two, sometimes more.
Yeah, they take
as we see Rashee Rice's incident happened well over a year ago.
Yeah, it's possible it doesn't even
come to fruition this year at all.
That is
possible. So we got to, keep tabs on that. If you're interested in those players, if not, hey, you know what? Browns team could be a headache as it is, so I don't blame you.
I will say real quick, as I don't have the sign above me, but as the official Dylan Sampson Lover, which if you want to hop on the train, it's choo-choo, all aboard, baby, because
there's a lot of spaces on that train.
Please, the tickets are. I'm giving the tickets out at this point. Listen, please, I beg you, use my knowledge. It looks real good for him right now. Just to butt in, their offensive coordinator Staley has said basically that he wants to use him in a receiving role, which he didn't get a huge opportunity to do that in college, but he definitely has the chops to do so. So knowing that he already is being talked about in that way, Judkins and Sampson are their plan as the 1 and 2. Even if they did sign Jerome Ford to a new contract and bring him back, it was for a lot less money. Now, Jerome Ford definitely might be one of the ones or the starters if Judkins does miss time at the beginning of the year. But they've been talking about Judkins and Sampson being the 1 and 2, which leads me to believe that Sampson could have a huge opportunity to start the year and potentially be their lead back without Judkins there. So to me, Dylan Sampson, especially in redraft this year, I'm real excited. I'm real excited. I think the guy has a huge opportunity ahead of him. He led the SEC last year with 22 rushing touchdowns. No small feat at all. I mean, some of the other running backs that have done that, went on to become great, if not, some of the best in the league currently. Again, being talked about in potential slot reps as well. That's huge for a running back that didn't necessarily get a lot of receiving work back in college, but he's already working with the wide receiver coach, trying to get a little more work in as a receiver. And it seems like, according to the team, it's potentially going to pay off. So, again, Dylan Sampson, to me, a huge opportunity potentially to start the year, especially if Judkins does miss some time. Jerome Ford doesn't really worry me in the slightest. And if you're playing Dynasty, if you didn't get him in your rookie draft, look to trade for him on the low, or get him in any capacity you can, because I think the dude has a huge opportunity ahead of him.
I agree. It's promising. Definitely on the upward trend for Sampson owners and Sampson supporters, I guess we'll call them.
For me.
Yeah, sure.
There's not too many of us, I think, out there yet, but
I think he's a good player. Promising.
Yeah, I think the numbers
situation.
will grow. To me, it reminds me. It's so funny. It reminds me almost exactly of Bucky Irving last year. There wasn't really a lot of hype on him. A lot of people were like, he's undersized. Like Dylan Sampson's very similar size, actually, and smaller. But actually, I think a little bit bigger in terms of his weight, or similar in terms of his weight. Yeah,
he's probably up 5, 10, 15, probably 10 pounds on him.
Yeah, big dude in that sense. So it just, to me, it's like screaming, like this is the dude that nobody sees, and he's about to just have a great season. I don't know if he's going to necessarily be top 10 or top 15, but
I don't necessarily see that.
Yeah,
I will say that sure, it could happen with the QB carousel that's going to be, and the fact that
they still spent the second rounder on Judkins too, so whenever he is done with that,
they'll be invested. Yeah. So the other part of that, though, the problem that I see is the Browns will almost undoubtedly be the worst team in that division, potentially the worst team in the AFC. Does that mean he could see the field a good amount because of passing downs? Yeah, but Jerome Ford does a similar type of role. So, you might see a lot of third downs for the Browns this year, a lot of third and longs, and that could hinder Sampson's ability to produce only because. Hear me out here.
I'm hearing.
The Browns will not be able, if they can't move the ball, they will not sustain drives. Therefore, limited touches, limited opportunities. Even if you're on the field,
100%.
You could be on the field 95% of the time, but if your offense
is one of the worst in the league, potentially, depending on who's quarterback, I 100% agree on that.
Correct. The one thing that could help them is they still have Myles Garrett on the defensive end and some defensive players that are still key to what they want to do defensively. It doesn't, they're not necessarily an awful defensive team. I do remember seeing a stat that at home defensively they show up. But they're going to have to do it a lot more this year with that. Unless a quarterback steps up for them, that is possible. They have a few that could, but no one that you're necessarily putting money on to do anything. So
I think Flacco is probably the most talented, even at his old man age, in terms of football.
Sure, Flacco is probably going to be the most reliable.
Yeah, and he can get check down work done pretty good. So in terms of quarterbacks, if you're looking to get some Browns players this year, I think that Judy might be a steal, or maybe Cedric Tillman. You're kind of hoping for one of the younger guys to either emerge or for Flacco to be the quarterback. Because otherwise, yeah, I agree. It'll be looking rough for the Browns. I'm not saying Dylan Sampson or Judkins are going to be some, mystical rookies that just came out of nowhere. But I do think Sampson will have a huge opportunity, and Judkins as well, regardless of the fact that they are potentially going to be on one of the worst teams in the league.
Yeah, and that could bode well, could hurt. We'll see how it plays out. Definitely solid talents that, again, half of fantasy is opportunity. So in terms of that, they're checking boxes there. So that's half of it. The other half is up to them to make most of those opportunities. So we'll see 100%. How that goes.
There's a lot of players that got paid recently. We can kind of run through them real quick, or we can talk about a situation I think you have a lot of interest and intrigue in with the Chargers. But what would you like to go to first?
Chargers situation, I'm unfamiliar with.
Well, recently,
other than Trey Harris being signed, but
yeah, that's kind of part of it. So recently, the newly signed, or I should say, re-signed and re-welcomed player back from their team was Mike Williams, who formerly was a Charger. He came back, had signed a deal with them, and was, a lot of people thought he might be involved in the offense this year. Boom, out of nowhere, Mike Williams retires, and solid career. I mean, wasn't necessarily one of the all-time greats in the league by any means, but oh my goodness.
He's on the field,
there were some games where that dude just went off.
Yeah, I mean, terms of fantasy, plugging him in, you're getting a 20+ performance, or you're getting like a 2 to 4 point.
Yeah, you never knew what it was, but you were excited to play him and hope for that 20 point.
Yeah, and respect to him for keep trying to gut it out with multiple different teams here at the end, trying to keep his career going, but also respect to him for knowing when to call it quits and know when your body is just done with it. And,
coming back to the Chargers too, even if that necessarily might not have been the plan.
No, I don't think it was.
Your career
I think
there.
he'd probably thought about retirement prior to this decision, of course, but I think the other side of it as well is just the fact of the matter is, he's not been healthy enough the last few years to get to the point where you can rely on him week to week and to be healthy and to be fantasy wise in your lineup and NFL wise be lining up alongside Ladd McConkey or whatever the case is this year was going to be this year. But now that Trey Harris is signed, I'm assuming that's somewhat corresponded to to the Mike Williams retirement news, which is somewhat expected as well. Trey Harris, picked in the second round, had somewhat of a contract holdout / dispute to start his, rookie campaign. But that has since ended, and he is now going to potentially be wide receiver 2 for Justin Herbert and line up across from Ladd McConkey and be that X receiver that the Chargers have so desperately needed.
100%. And to your point, I think 100% that when Mike Williams retired, it kind of forced the Chargers' hand in terms of like, all right, now we need to sign this guy. And
probably freed up a little bit of money too.
Yeah, sure. But to kind of play on that, one of the other big bits of news that's kind of been going on subtly around the league has been this kind of dispute or issue with rookie contracts. That just basically Jaden Higgins had signed a contract with Houston Texans. Jaden Higgins being the rookie receiver that they drafted in the second round, I believe.
Out of Iowa State.
Yeah, and he's a talented player, but part of the whole deal is that Jaden Higgins had got basically a fully guaranteed contract, and a lot of the other rookies were not getting those offers. They were not getting guarantees like Higgins were, and all of them saw that Higgins got the guarantee, and they started sitting there going, wait a second. Why do I want a guarantee? What the heck?
It's like the running back situation the last couple of years with Saquon, Derrick Henry, all these guys.
Jacobs,
all these guys that have been trying to get paid. They see another guy get paid what he deserves or what a team feels he is worth, and then they try to convince their team, hey, this is what I'm worth. And truthfully, looking at the rookies who have held out, I can't blame them. Trey Harris, obviously the one we just spoke of.
Yeah, I'll get more into him.
Being the first, I can't blame him because, again, like we just discussed, Chargers have needed that X receiver for quite some time. Keenan Allen is very similar to Ladd McConkey in the way that they run routes, try to get open. They can do many different things well. So Ladd McConkey is essentially the Keenan replacement in a way for Herbert. And then if you look at Trey Harris, I watched a ton of tape on him. I have shares of him. He's on my Dynasty team. It's not necessarily a bias as much as it is my just true analysis.
Belief in him.
He, with a lot of people complained about a limited route tree or limited, he had a gimmicky offense, they said, at Ole Miss. But if you look at the routes he's running, the plays he's doing in such a limited amount of catches in games too, at Ole Miss, he had great numbers, and the offense was mainly play action, which is exactly what the Chargers want to run, what Harbaugh likes to do. He wants to run the ball, run your defense into the ground, and then he's going to attack with the play action to counter that. Once you stack that box and assume,
they're going to run. That's when you pull
there goes Trey Harris deep. He's a big physical receiver. A lot of people said his ceiling is similar to DK Metcalf. I could see that. I'm not necessarily saying it's going to happen, but he's got the body, size, and ability to be a similar type of receiver. And personally, I feel that he's going to be an exact fit again, similar style of offense at Ole Miss, similar style of player to what Mike Williams on his good to great days was. But at the same time, you're getting a young, fresh player that hopefully won't have. He's had an injury or two, which he missed a season, but in college or missed some games in college. But if he could stay healthy in the league, he's got some good size. He should be able to. I really like Trey Harris. The other holdout I was thinking of too was Shamar Stewart, the Bengals holdout, but that's for completely different reasons in my head because of the fact that the Bengals owner is just cheap.
That's one way to put it.
He signed Joe, Jamar, and T this offseason. Credit to him for doing that because a lot of people thought it wouldn't happen. I'm very happy it did personally.
No, it did. In a sense, it almost happened to his own. I don't know if I want to say demise, if that's the right word, but like if he had paid those players earlier, he wouldn't have had to pay them as much as he did.
Correct. And that's a lesson learned, I think, to him and to all owners is, it may seem like a steep price now, but in a year or two, you're going to be thanking the Lord that you paid that guy $25 million instead of now $35 million, whatever the case may be, depending on the player. I feel like that's also, Shamar Stewart it sounded like talks were at a standstill. It sounds like they want to get a deal done with him. It sounds like he wants to be a Bengal. It also sounds like, though, that he wants to be paid. Wants to be paid what he's worth and 100%. What he feels he's worth.
Yeah,
and he's a first rounder. He deserves to negotiate for what he's worth. And the other part of this too, transitioning as well to the other side of that same defensive line, Trey Hendrickson also has been in a contract dispute for the last few months.
That's 100% true. We got some news and updates on that as well today.
And Mr. Brown, the owner of the Bengals, was basically coming out today and saying that they're in a good spot with Trey Hendrickson, which granted, we have heard this before. We've heard that they were in decent talks at some point prior to this. Sounds like it's a little more reassuring now because it came from straight word of mouth from him. But the other side, of the deal is Trey Hendrickson, and he wants $30+ million or around there. He saw the TJ Watt deal, and I'm not going to sit here and say he expects TJ Watt money, but if you look at I don't know if you know this, who had the most sacks the last 2 seasons?
Hendrickson,
35. Do you know who was second?
JJ or TJ.
TJ Watt with I think 31 or 30 and a half, something around there.
Yeah, and then TJ Watt, like you said, got paid the biggest non-quarterback contract ever.
Yeah, exactly. And Hendrickson, to his credit, I believe still underrated player.
Yeah.
I remember seeing graphics constantly watching on Sundays with Bengals games, and you see Aaron Donald's name, you see Myles Garrett's name the last 4 or 5 seasons, whatever. And all the one random name you kind of see there all the time is Trey Hendrickson. And it's a credit to him for being so consistent. He led the league in sacks last year, if I'm not mistaken. So rightfully so, he wants to be paid. And yes, he's going to be 30. Edge rushers, they can still be productive into their 30s, but it just depends on the type of player. But I think Hendrickson, certain players have certain edge rushers rely on athleticism and their body and things of that nature, maybe speed. Hendrickson has a motor that is a little different than most edges. That's the motor you want from your edge. If I'm the Bengals, I'm paying him what he wants, just in the fact that, yes, he's been a Bengal his whole career. He deserves to finish out with us. He deserves to finish out with a chance to have a Super Bowl opportunity with a guy like Joe Burrow, with the offense that he has. And the Bengals need him to be on that defensive side. So it sounds like they're in good standing in terms of the contract talks, and they'll get it done soon.
Yeah, as far as it sounded like Mr. Brown had basically said that at some point they will be getting a deal done. So it didn't really seem like a matter of if, it seemed like a matter of when.
Correct. Yeah. I agree. makes me happy as a Bengals fan.
To get back to the this rookie deal dispute, I guess you could say, across the league, I think a big part of that is the fact that college players are getting paid the amount that they are now as well. I think as far as the Bengals rookie is concerned, their first round pick, he wasn't showing up and had a huge dispute with them in that same sense that you were talking about. And part of his thing is that he could go back to college and get paid, So it's like, at this point, if you're drafting a dude in the first round, why are you not going to pay him what he's deserved?
So the one thing, personally, as a Bengals fan, I know we needed someone alongside of Hendrickson
on the line
because Hubbard is retiring.
Yeah.
So but I also felt like a guy like Will Howard, the corner from Michigan, probably could have been a better pick there, or at least a pick where you probably don't have this contract dispute right now. Shamar Stewart is not a bad player, but we drafted him a little bit based on his athleticism and potential, not based on his numbers at Texas A&M. He didn't have outstanding numbers. He had decent numbers, but the other part of this too, Shamar Stewart, I follow a lot of different college things, and Texas A&M, whether it was hoops or football, I was watching closely this last year, and I already have seen that he's not going back to Texas A&M. The coach already said that.
Yeah.
So if he goes back, it's to a completely different school.
Interesting.
Probably something he doesn't want to really do. He wants to stay pro. I truly think he wants to be a Bengal. He also wants to be paid what he feels he's deserved. But at the same time, what is he exactly deserved if he hasn't played a snap in the NFL? That's a tough thing to gauge.
Yeah.
So it
does bring up an interesting concept or conversation of potential first round picks or first overall quarterbacks type of guys in the future. Like if they're in their junior season in college and potentially going to the draft, they get drafted to a team that, like Baker to the Browns or even Johnny Manziel for that situation. If they get drafted to a team where they're like, I don't really want to play here, I feel like at some point we could see some guy potentially be like, honestly, I'm going to go back to college.
First thing I think of when you say that is Eli, because Eli didn't want to play for the Chargers, and they traded Phillip Rivers essentially for Eli.
Yeah.
And that then brings me to who I was actually thinking about is Arch Manning. I think Arch Manning has a huge decision coming up in this 2026 class, to where depending on who's going to be the worst team or who the team that's going to be up in the top 3 picks that needs a quarterback, does he want to go there? He doesn't necessarily strike me as a guy that's going to be picky about where he goes, but at the same time, he's a Manning like Eli.
Yeah, no, same.
Peyton, number 1 pick to the Colts. He just did his thing, won a Super Bowl for them, went to Denver, did his thing. In my opinion, if you're going pound for pound, quarterback, it's him and Thomas, the GOATs. Regardless, team accolades, that's, Tom has 7 rings. Respect to him for that. The other side of that too, though, is it matters who's your team. Peyton Manning had never had defenses. Arch may look at a team like Eli did and say, what in the hell is going to go for me here? Why would he may stay until 27.
Yeah.
So we don't know those types of things, but back on track to the rookie disputes, guys will get signed. They probably will for sure. Yeah. And teams end up learning, from other situations and whatnot, okay, yeah, we got to keep this guy, or yeah, we got to, we'll find a way to meet in the middle. And I think that'll be a good opportunity for future rookies potentially to get either what they're worth, what they feel they're worth. But again, that also, the problem with that is it comes with heavy expectations. The more you're paid, the more you're expected to produce. So, you want to get paid, you better show up to work. You better do your thing. You get paid, the job's not done.
I'll say last thing to add on to that, just to, because we'll probably do a whole episode where I'm talking about Dylan Sampson, because I do have this whole paper on it. But for real though, Judkins is one of those players that has not yet signed a deal. So just keep that in mind for those of you that are playing fantasy, and with his domestic violence dispute and case, of course, as well.
live update real quick, just to give you guys something funny to either think about or, some news I'm just finding out myself. Jerry Jones considered stepping down.
Oh,
I'm sure most Cowboys fans I know would be thrilled with that. A few I've met in the last few years would love that. Personally,
yeah.
I if I'm a Cowboys fan, that's what I want. He thinks he has what's in best.
I think the best thing that he's
team.
done in the past decade is draft CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, draft CeeDee Lamb and the O-line that he who knows if it was him or not, but the O-line that they had a few years ago when DeMarco Murray was running wild, and then obviously Zeke. But it's funny, they've had the offense and then they've had the defense, but never really they've had the passing. We could say they've had the passing game in the defense the last couple of years, but the running game is so absent since Zeke has been out of his prime and left. It has not been the same as what they had before, and their line has slowly diminished. But the full, just to give you the actual word for word, it says Jones admits he thought about leaving GM role for small fractions of a second or of seconds. Okay. So it's not really something that right now you're sitting there like, oh, Jerry Jones is going to leave right now, but you're thinking, okay, he's thought about it, and that's. If again, it's encouraging if you're a Cowboys fan.
Yeah. And then real quick, we'll do a little bit of a lightning to kind of get through some of these contracts or, lightning news report, if you will. Real quick, JJ Watt did get paid 3 years, $123 million, I believe. Or TJ Watt. I keep saying JJ.
My guy's living in the past.
I know. I miss him.
I don't.
I know you don't. You didn't like when your guys played against him at all. I don't blame you.
Though. He's great.
But he did become the highest paid defensive and non-quarterback player. Garrett Wilson also got paid, as well as Sauce Gardner. So the Jets kind of sealing up their future with the two of them. There was also Von Miller signed with the Commanders. I don't know that I did see that. I would say that kind of went under the radar. And Ndamukong Suh has retired. Yep. Called it a career recently, yep. And then
respectfully, great player, but fuck him and his antics.
Fair.
Stepping on people's heads and arms, all right, dude.
Yeah,
you're good. You're a talented player, but
he was real great.
You can't be trying to kill people.
Real quick, since it is the Lightning, we'll go through a couple NBA things. Bradley Beal recently signed with the Clippers. Dame had a buyout, I believe, or no, that was
Dame.
Sorry, it was Bradley Beal with the buyout. Yeah. Dame went back to.
Dame was released by Bucks and signed with Portland once again to probably finish his career out there. And then the other. Big news was Marcus Smart with the Lakers.
Yes.
Lakers they need to make some roster moves to try to clear up a little more space. They did a couple waivings of certain players that really Godwin, I believe.
Yeah.
Certain players that just probably weren't going to be a factor anyways. Luka personally recruited Marcus Smart. So that was a big thing. And of course the Lakers need defense. I personally think they need to move on from LeBron. He served his time here. Thank you for your championship. I appreciate that.
It's time for a new era, though.
Correct. Luka's era has come. It is, seems like you want to move on as well. So go back to Cleveland or wherever you need to go. We will be fine.
Yeah.
I would love to trade you to Dallas for Cooper Flag, but I don't know if Nico Harrison's stupid, but I don't know if he's that stupid.
Yep.
So, but aside from that, I'm trying to think of any other news.
There was
Chris Paul signed today with the Clippers as well.
Indeed.
They're really making the UNC squad over there. They're going to have a starting five of Chris Paul, Bradley Beal, James Harden, Kawhi, and Brook Lopez.
Yep.
So that's truly
UNC central.
Yeah, if they're all in their prime, God help the league, because that's a really good starting five.
Yeah.
But every single one of them, if I'm not mistaken, is over the age of 35, except for Beal. Beal's 32. I love Bradley Beal as much as anybody else does, but what he showed with the Suns was not as encouraging as you would have hoped.
Yeah.
Plus,
things didn't work out there.
Yeah, and that's not like Chris Paul's a great defender in his prime, but 39-year-old Chris Paul probably not. Kawhi, great defender. Bradley Beal has potential to be the good defender he's supposed to be, but you're not getting good defense out of Paul or James Harden. Brook Lopez can be big and block some shots, but he's not quick. So they're going to have a lot of liabilities. I could go on and how the Clippers are not going to be that good, but that's who they are.
Yeah,
to their
me
core.
too. Of course, that's always who the Clippers are. Well, since it is still Lightning, we got to go real quick. Just a cool note that I kind of noted from yesterday. Knuppel, I believe is his name.
Con Knuppel.
Yeah, he was the third pick or fourth?
Fourth
Overall pick in the NBA draft for the Hornets. He led them to an undefeated summer league.
Undefeated summer league. They went 6-0. He averaged a couple of games where he had 21 points, 19 points, good efficiency, long ball shooting, great passing. Just a really good showing from Knuppel.
Yeah.
And, of course, Flag didn't get a chance to win the MVP because he played only 2 games. The first game, it was rough.
Bronny put some work on him.
Let's be real. It was more of the hype and the fact Bronny has been in the league for a year. He knows certain things.
He's had some time to develop.
Not that Flag doesn't, but yeah, Flag, not that he's probably been playing and working on his game and whatnot, but real game action. We saw the real Flag the following game with 31 points.
100%.
They felt like they didn't need to play him after that. I agree. He's going to be great. The best part about Flag, too, is he doesn't need to be the guy right out the gate. They have Kyrie. They have AD. They have Clay. They have Flag. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with. The Mavs will. It'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, I agree. I think it'll be definitely a fun dynamic with that team.
Yep.
But yeah, I really thought the Knuppel situation and the fact that the Hornets went undefeated in Summer League was really a cool note to add. So
yeah, Knuppel is really not necessarily
player,
surprising. Yeah, if you want in this draft, in my opinion, aside from Flag or Ace Bailey, Knuppel was one of the safest picks because you knew you were getting, at worst, a fantastic shooter.
We're both Dukies, so of course we might have a little bit of bias there. But
even then, you can
he showed why.
You can watch the Summer League highlights with your own eyes and see that Knuppel is very good.
So clearly the lightning round has ended because we're getting into a little bit more. To get back to the football stuff, there is 3 more things to talk about. Kind of one real quick. Will Levis did officially get placed, I believe, on the IR or just in general, he's going to be missing the entire season with a right shoulder injury and surgery. So that definitely makes Cam Ward obviously the starter, and
I think it made him the starter regardless. The only thing that was going to make Cam Ward not the starter was going to be supreme poor performance. Like Jamarcus Russell bad because you have a first overall pick. You're going to start that kid.
Yeah. Kind of why I put it there at the end of the lightning round, because not really a lot to talk about. Does kind of suck for Will Levis.
You hope he recovers and can get back to being healthy. You assume that probably not going to get too much opportunity to win the job if Cam Ward does well this season. The good thing for Will Levis is there's plenty of teams that need quarterbacks around the league around trade deadline. If Cam Ward's doing well, I don't know about trading an injured player, but you might see a market for Will Levis at some point in the next season or two, because I'm sure there's plenty of teams. Kenny Pickett has found guys like if he can find a team, I'm sure Will Levis can find a team.
We'll see if he can, end up making something of his career still. One more kind of quick one before we get into a little bit more. I guess they're both kind of quick. Terry McLaurin, I'll go to that one quick first. Recently has been a little upset with his contract situation, trying to get an extension. Is kind of an older player, I believe 28 years old. So it kind of makes sense team-wise. He's 29 now. I know we talked about it. He just turned 29.
No, he didn't. We just talked about this, and I literally told you. He turns
He's my boy.
30 in September, the start of the season.
Okay.
He's like September 15th.
So, yeah.
He'll be 30 years old, and that's why the Commanders are hesitant to pay him the bag.
Extend his
Jaden
contract.
Daniels is a great quarterback, can probably elevate most to any receiver. Terry McLaurin is a great receiver, probably had his so this, just to give you perspective, the camera is on a Terry McLaurin owner.
I love
and
that
fan.
Oh,
the camera is now on a realist here.
A realist?
No. Terry McLaurin is a great receiver, great talent, great quarterback with him. Finally, deservedly so after so many years of sus quarterbacks. The thing though here for Terry McLaurin is, I could almost promise you he had his best season this past season. The only possible chance he doesn't is if this year exactly is his best season.
100%.
Because if you're 31, 32, 33, you're not having a better season than you just had last year.
No, either last year, I agree. Either last year was the best season of his career or
this season itself.
Yeah, I think this season potentially could be, again, I am the Terry McLaurin lover.
He might not
I've been
even
on him
play.
since day one, since, the dude was a kind of went under the radar and undrafted in a lot of dynasty leagues for fantasies. So I love this dude, but you're right that he could potentially have a drop off in the next couple of years. And I understand from the Commanders' sense
quite
why
simply,
they might not.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off, but quite simply, there will be a cut off, a drop off because of the fact he's holding out at the moment.
Sure, real quick, part of my point and why I think this year could be the big year, or like the best year of his career. He's never really had a receiver alongside it. That's usually defenses only have to worry about Terry McLaurin, maybe Zach Ertz.
Sure,
but otherwise, not sure. Deebo Samuel might be a step slower than he might, maybe used to be. But I think Deebo being there could open up the offense a little bit more for him compared to what it used to be.
Yeah, and the only problem though with that too is that Deebo being there, that takes targets away. On top of that, Dave may feel now, we traded for Deebo. Why do we have to pay Terry?
Debo's even older than Terry, though.
I don't know if they traded for Deebo and still haven't signed Terry. To me, that speaks a little more volumes than
tactics.
I'm not saying Debo's better than Terry.
You're making a solid point.
But they might see it as we could get the same production out of a player that we don't have to necessarily pay for the next 3 years. Deebo, I think, is under contract for what, 1 or 2 more seasons?
Something like that.
So, and it's not like Debo's paid dimes and pennies. He's paid a good amount.
Solid amount.
But they're going to have to pay Terry more for longer.
Yeah, because that's the thing. It's going to be, similar franchise too in terms of just the history of how they've been run. But similar to the Bengals where they kind of were like, prove it, and then they had to pay the guys more.
Sure.
It could end up being like that.
The problem too, though, with the Commanders is they've never been a franchise necessarily to pay out. Franchise. They've also, if you look at their current roster construction, Terry is not the focal point. The focal point is Jaden Daniels. And they'll probably want to get a younger, more
powerful,
a guy that they could develop themselves. I'm pretty sure, Jaden Daniels will want a guy for Joe Burrow has his guy. Jalen Hurts has 2 guys, just like Joe. A lot of, McCarthy is going to have Jefferson. A lot of guys have receivers that are prime receivers or young receivers. Jaden Daniels doesn't have that guy right now.
No.
He has potentially 2 30-plus-year-old receivers.
Yeah.
So they're going to want to find him someone, which, again, makes them maybe not want to pay.
And to your point, it could be similar to how Terry. Running backs have been dealt with in the league in terms of the fact that they could be just like, hey, we're going to use you for this year, and after that, we don't really want to pay you, so we're going to draft a guy, kind of thing.
Yep, they find a replacement as fast as they can, and
yeah,
it's an unfortunate situation. Especially
it's an unfortunate reality of the of the NFL.
Yeah, and a guy like Terry, he deserves the bag. He deserves to be paid. He's a great. He's endured the bad years or the sus quarterbacks. To
get to the point where their team is actually good.
Yeah,
the fan base loves him too, for sure.
Yeah, and so you want to pay a guy like that. You want to keep a guy like that.
But I understand.
I believe they will. But at the same time, there's not like if they didn't have Debo. I also think that's why they traded for Debo in case they didn't sign Terry, because if they didn't have Debo, they have nobody.
Exactly, but that's exactly why go ahead.
I was gonna say McCaffrey's brother would be the quickest pickup in the league.
Yeah, straight up.
Diami Brown. I don't even know if he's actually on that team anymore, but still, there'd be guys that we'd be looking at. So Debo being there kind of makes their decision a little more interesting involving Terry, but. At the end of the day, Terry probably would get paid just like Hendrickson, like the Bengals ending up paying Hendrickson. They're going to need they need that duo. Jaden Daniels. Yeah. Just let's be frank here. Are the Commanders winning the division? Probably not. It's probably going to be the Eagles again.
Eagles are maybe Dallas if they, if
they have a run game.
Yeah, even then their defense.
Pickens is going to help the offense, of course, but if they have no run, the other thing too is they might end up having to trade Micah Parsons. I've heard a bunch of rumors about that.
I've heard that too.
So we'll see what happens, but as of right now, no one is dethroning the Eagles from that division. Commanders are a wild card team, and so as far as that means. They're not going to have a top 5 pick, but they're not going to have a bottom 5 pick. No. And they're going to be anywhere from like the 10 if they have a bad season or to like the 25-ish range. And that's a perfect range to get another receiver to replace Terry. So we got to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
But again, right. Terry's still serviceable in my opinion for the next 2 years, not maximum, but most likely after that, who knows? But they got to figure something out with him this season.
Yeah. And then going on to the last little nugget before we talk about, again, a little bit more serious one. Godwin, I saw today, is still rehabbing, which fits kind of what I've heard in terms of he might not even be ready at the start of the season. A lot of people kind of feel like he is, that's kind of the vibe I've got. And the fantasy community is that a lot of people feel like Godwin's going to be there throughout the season and throughout the beginning of the year. And it's like, dude, he just came off another terrible knee injury.
Pretty massive injury.
It's like, I love Godwin. Don't get me wrong.
Great player when he's healthy, but coming off a massive injury, I heard the recovery process was taking longer than they anticipated.
That's one of the last things that I heard. And
he's an older receiver at this point with that injury, relatively to that injury. Like he's a little older at this point. Plus, you got young cats in that room, in that wide receiver room, in McMillan and Igbuka now. Where you're looking at Mike as the alpha, but for how much longer, I don't know. And on top of that, Igbuka and McMillan are not like they had productive college careers. They may not be a top 15 receiver in the league, but they will be productive.
Not this year. Hey, Igbuka is talented. I'm just saying in the future.
Let's be real. There's every single wide receiver that's come before him, except maybe Olave from Ohio State, is already more talented and better.
Outside of Olave.
Marvin is better. Garrett Wilson is better. Jackson Smith and Jigba is better.
Okay, but better than like 4 or 5 guys that are potential top 10 to 15 receivers in the league. Like,
but you get what I'm saying. Those are only his teammates, and we're already listed 4 guys. That's without the rest of the league, like Jamar, Jefferson, Puka, Tyree. Like, there's already a whole. Puka has the talent to be around the 15 range. I know you're super high on him, but realistically,
I'm talking about in the prime of his career. I'm not necessarily
sure, but he's not going to hit that. If he hits that 12 to 15 range, it's because he's the number 1 guy there. But let's be real. Let's be real. There's plenty of talent already there for right now. And then in the future, in 3 years, Baker's what? almost 38 or something like he's what, 31 right now?
Is he that old? I guess that makes sense. I thought he's a little younger.
Here. How old is Baker Mayfield?
Oh god.
30.
Okay, so yeah.
Born April 14th. So in 3 to 5 years, Baker still could be a thing, but that's not guaranteed.
No.
Egbuka, yes, great talent, but you're banking on him more to be 15 to 25 range than you are banking on him to be.
Sure.
You're very high on him, but you also, just like Dylan Sampson, you got to come back down to earth at some point.
To me,
these are not Jamar Chases. And
I'm not saying that.
We're talking
if you're talking about a PPR league, I see him very similar to a Godwin-esque type of guy. And who was the number one guy through the first 6 or 7 weeks throughout the beginning of last season? Chris Godwin.
Yes.
And it's not necessarily because of talent.
Baker.
Sure. But that's what I mean. He's coming into a situation where he has 2 older statements who he's learning from that are aging out. So he's easily going to become the one, I think, by next year, probably.
So the other thing is, too, about Egbuka is that he did stay, I think, almost a full term in college.
He did.
So he's a little older. So the experience is there, yes.
Yes.
But that means if he's not good in 2 years, it's almost a failed project because of the fact that he'll be 26.
Sure.
Or 25, 26. And you're sitting there wait a minute, isn't this supposed to be his prime when you're waiting for him to get to the point where he needs to be? We need to see the product on the field. The other problem too, the emergence of Bucky Irving doesn't necessarily help him in the sense of touches.
Sure. They're gonna give it a lot of check downs and different small, up the middle, tiny work to
and again,
Bucky.
Egbuka will be fine. I
still think he's going to be a
the
solid player.
The 15 to 25 range is much more realistic than him being a top 12 wide receiver.
Sure, I agree, especially with Mike Evans and all the other guys still in the offense right now.
It's almost more of who the rest of the league is.
Sure, there's so much talent in the league.
Again, at Ohio State, he was the third receiver?
Yeah, but that's what I was trying to say about him in general is it's not necessarily a talent thing. He is very talented, vastly, and he is very refined. And
the league is getting more talented,
100%. But the thing with him, he could be a top 15 guy in my opinion, not based on talent, because he is very talented regardless of that.
Sure, opportunity,
but because of opportunity, 100%.
Sure. But again, we'll see where Baker is in a couple years.
Yeah.
This again, another guy potentially had his best season. I don't really see Baker getting more than 41 touchdowns.
Sure.
In the 40 probably is around his max. I don't really see him doing much better than he did last year, offensively wise. Answer me this: do you see him getting 45 plus?
Baker?
Yes.
No, 45 is probably
that's extreme.
His peak of what he could.
That would be like Baker fulfilling his number 1 draft pick.
Yeah, I was gonna say even then that would be with rushing touchdowns probably involved. You know what I mean?
I was gonna say with the 45, you're probably getting closer to 20 picks with Baker.
Probably
because he had 41 or 40 or whatever this season.
16 or 18 picks.
16 picks, probably multiple fumbles, but again, you're taking that with the touchdowns.
Yeah.
So Egbuka, just to move off of Egbuka after this, but he'll be fine. McMillan is still there. You got to respect that. The fact that he may not be the one ever is sure, but the end of the season last year, McMillan was absolutely,
he was going off,
more than a force to be reckoned with.
No, 100%.
Give me 1 second, I'll pull up the numbers.
I in terms of, I know you said Baker might have had his best season. Another guy where I think he's going into this year with almost the same exact offense, and in fact they got him more weapons with Egbuka. Granted, Godwin is probably not going to be healthy at the beginning of the year like we're talking about, but
yeah,
it's almost a situation where he's coming in with the same exact kind of guys where I feel the same way about him that I do about Joe Burrow in a sense this year. Not in the sense, to me, Joe Burrow could be MVP this year easily.
I think he will be.
Yeah. And so I'm not in that sense, but in sense of Joe Burrow had, you could say probably one of his best years last year in terms of stats, but he's coming into the season with everything kind of secure with his offense now. And them going into another year of having that offense a little more, clarified and the defense still being just as bad, it's almost the same situation being carried over where he's going to probably have 40 plus touchdowns again.
Sure. Then, as far as the Bengals are concerned, if they sign Hendrickson, sign Shamar Stewart, the defense is instantly better already.
Yeah.
They did draft linebackers that
Joe doesn't necessarily have a Bucky Irving there to take away potential touchdowns or
Chase Brown.
Sure. I mean, Chase Brown is really talented. So in that sense, yes.
A lot of people are high on him this year.
Yeah,
as well.
Me too. I'm not. So, it's not like I'm not, but I feel like Bucky can take away more from Baker is what I was trying to say.
Sure, the offense runs more through Joe than Baker compared to Bucky. For Joe like Joe is a top, in my opinion, 2, and he's not 2 quarterback in the league. And just based on what he provides for his team.
Yeah, what he can do.
Yeah. Sure, everyone says, oh, he has the weapons, but yada, yada. Guess what? He doesn't have the defense, doesn't have the O-line. Show me other quarterbacks with just about an O-line and just about a defense. And put up those numbers, I'll wait.
Yeah, it's like Luck or Peyton, some of the years.
Yes, and again, but, back to real quick, McMillan and Baker, like the end of these, this also gives Ibuka hope in a sense, as well as McMillan for the following season. From week 14 on, McMillan had at least 1 touchdown in every game, and fantasy-wise did not have under 16.7 in the final 5 weeks. Before that, yes, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks out of 8 single digits. You're not happy with that. But he also missed 4 weeks, so it's inconsistent in terms of the production on offense. All of a sudden, he's healthy, one of the few healthy receivers they had. Boom, he starts going off. Minimum 5, 6 targets. I think his minimum was 5 targets in the last 5 games. In that game, he had 5 for 5 for 51 and 2 touchdowns. So he's producing. He's doing what he needs to do. McMillan and Ibuka will be fine. Baker will 100%. Be fine. Expect some regression from Baker, maybe instead of 30 to 35 touchdowns. But you will see those receivers do their thing. And
that's why I bring up Bucky potentially being, the guy that could vulture some of those touchdowns away or some of that, upside of Baker. And to your point of how Baker could potentially have had his best season last year.
Yeah, and I also think too, not necessarily there could be regression from Joe and the Bengals offense.
It's possible, but not likely.
Well, if their defense has Shamar and Hendrickson, that's an improvement.
Sure.
On top of that, again, like I said, they have their 2nd and 3rd round linebackers that are. I've watched tape on them, extremely good ball hawkers in terms of finding the hole in the lane to clog, as well as very good sideline to sideline lateral movement guys. That's what you need from linebackers.
Yeah.
The outside perspective of that too, or that the thing that people don't consider, everyone says, oh, the Bengals secondary was so bad last year. Yes, because they were injured, because they had a couple guys, Cam Taylor-Britt, one of our better secondary guys. He had a couple coaching, like things that were just simple issues with him with the coaching staff where he wasn't maybe giving it his all. All I've seen so far on Bengals talk is that Cam Taylor-Britt is constantly in every single defensive play, always trying to make an impact. And he even said today, I seen an article that basically talked about him talking about the secondary as they're all interchangeable. They can all kind of play corner and safety to where they doesn't matter really where they're out on the field as long as they're all healthy.
That'd be good in terms of like being able, if all of them know the defensive packages, like all of them are, being able to play the different positions and know kind of how that defensive scheme is set up. That could be really good for them. To get into the last bit of news that we have here today, and I think personally what I think is some of the bigger news of the last couple of weeks, Najee Harris recently suffered a superficial eye injury. And, with this situation, he had a firework incident that happened on July 4th, similar to what we know with Jason Pierre-Paul back in the day, although that was probably a little bit worse potentially. But anytime you're dealing with an eye injury and a firework accident, that's really a cause for alarm, regardless of who you are or what you're dealing with. So hearing that Najee Harris had gone through that, knowing that the Chargers had recently got him and, made, spent some capital to get him, like it's not like he's not part of their plans, even though they did sign Omarion Hampton, their rookie. I believe they signed him, but they just got him in the first round in the draft. So obviously having Najee's eye situation, they say he should be ready to go by week 1. He was placed on the NFI. It's, not out of the question, though, that it might not necessarily be a short stay. Like, I mean, it seems they say that he should be ready to go, but like to me, like there was some weird reports when it first came out. Like it took a couple days, which is just weird in general, that it happened on like July 4th, obviously, but then it didn't really come out till like the 12th. It was almost like a week later that it started. Like
I remember seeing a little bit earlier than that, but even then,
I was close.
Even then, it was a little bit more of a hit. I don't know if you remember the Jason Pierre-Paul thing. I don't know if that necessarily came out right away many years ago.
Yeah.
Regardless, though, with Najee, it's more of a, it sounded like it was more of a surface injury.
Yeah, superficial is what that
surface.
Could be a scratch on the eyelid, essentially, is what that is.
And so that, serious or not, I'm not going to put too much stock into him being necessarily out for a certain period of time. Maybe, with the decision, it may lean the Chargers to see like, if you can't handle yourself on the 4th of July, let's give the rookie the hand, the job, or at least the opportunity to take Hampton's a better running back, in my opinion, anyways.
I think he's more talented, even though Najee coming in was probably almost just as talented or highly touted. But like he obviously showed at some point, like it wasn't necessarily something he could produce on every single year, especially within the Steelers offense that had no QB play after Big Ben, which was his best season, his rookie year. So that's part of why I thought Najee could potentially have a bounce back season this year. And I remember literally driving that morning, the news came out, and thinking to myself, damn, Najee Harris might be a really good pick this year. And then like literally within like an hour or two, I'm driving and I like get the alert at a red light and I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, what is this? And like I got home and looked more into it. I'm like, what? Because then at first alert I saw is that he's partially blind or could potentially be. And I'm like, it was like, take it with a grain of salt. I'm like, what is this?
From what I saw is mainly surface, but again, not something you necessarily want to see if you're a Najee Harris dynasty owner. Also, not something you want to see if you had confidence coming into the season with him being the guy. Again, Hampton is almost undoubtedly going to be the guy. Yeah, he was going to be the guy most likely after week 5 or 6 anyways. Now it's like, okay, he's probably going to be the guy from week 1 or 2. I wouldn't be surprised with a little bit of Najee love at some point in terms of, he can get the they don't want to overwork a rookie right away.
Precisely. And so like that's kind of what my thing with it was. Like initially I was thinking, dang, Najee might have an opportunity to actually get a resurgence in his career this year. And then you had reminded me actually that, well, Najee only signed a 1-year deal, or like he's only there for a year. So it's not like, after this they have a huge commitment to him. And especially again with something like this happening, to your point, it's something that might make them consider, oh, maybe we go with Hampton a little bit sooner. Definitely not something that bodes well for Najee. Kind of sucks because I do like him. I think he's a great person and cool player. But definitely, if you were hopeful like me that he could have a resurgence, makes it a little tougher for that to become a reality now.
Yeah, and it's it's unfortunate something like that happened, but for his case, live and learn.
Hopefully everything is good and he has a healthy season and is able to
still produce at least as much as he possibly can for whatever his role may be. That'll be for the future to decide, though.
Definitely. And that was the last bit of news that we had though going on lately. I'm sure a lot of other stuff will go definitely be updated in the next couple of days. Training camps are starting, so there's going to be a lot of stuff that starts flying around. We'll definitely be staying on top of that. And for those of you guys that are waiting for our lays of the day, Wait no longer. It is finally time.
Yeah, we got a good amount of baseball going on today. At this point in the year, that's kind of the only thing we can look at. And there's other things happening, but baseball is kind of the one thing where you can sit there and go, okay, I comfortable analyze what I need to. But as far as the lay or the picks I like today, the first one we're going to get to is the Detroit at Pittsburgh matchup. It's a 3:40 start time Pacific, 6:40 Eastern. Paul Skeens is going against Jack Flaherty. Skeens coming in looking good in just about every start. Unfortunately, the Pirates can never seem to get him run support. As you see there, the matchup predictor has a Pirates still at a 59% probability to win this game. As far as my notes here, I actually normally I would maybe look at the Nerfy, the under for the first 5, potentially the under for the game. Jack Flaherty's been quite up and down, a little more down the last few starts as far as he goes. Skeens, though, the Tigers as a team, those who have faced him, have a 312 slug against Skeens, which is absolutely putrid. You don't want a 312. Yeah. And a 156 average. The Tigers lineup that have faced Skeens, players that have faced him are 5 for 32. So we're not really looking at any type of production. 15 strikeouts in those 32 at bats. So he's striking out half the batters essentially that he's facing that against the Tigers. And on the flip side, which normally you don't see from the Pirates offense, they just got swept by the White Sox. Yeah. But strangely enough, I kind of feel like that's a spot to where now, hey, law of averages might take place here with Pirates getting swept. You don't expect them to be the team like the Tigers. With Skeens on the mound, maybe, and with Flaherty struggling, maybe. But the one thing I'm looking at here is the Pirates offensively against Jack Flaherty have a 957 OPS. That is well above league average. Like, that is impressive. On top of that, they bat 304 against Jack Flaherty. So the Pirates really, whatever they got going is usually not much offensively, but apparently against Jack Flaherty, they really show up. So Pirates, I like Skeens to go. This is special, I believe, in certain sites you might be able to find this. I took Skeens, 7 Ks, and Pirates to win as one thing. So
I don't mind that.
Yeah, the Nerfy is fine in my opinion. The under 4 runs, under 3.5 should be okay for the first 5. But yeah, I like Pirates here. I think they right the ship with Skeens on the mound.
Yeah, I think I definitely am on them as well. I mean, again, like we talked about in the beginning, happy Skeens Day to those of you that celebrate and celebrate with us. Because I think I am taking that Nerfy today in my lay. So I'm gonna have to go with it. For those of you that are new to the channel or new to being a degenerate, essentially a Nerfy is when you bet that there will be no runs scored in the first inning from either team. So that's what I got going here today with Paul Skeens on the mound against Detroit. Detroit, being in that little bit of a slump, facing Skeens. Pittsburgh's offense being in a slump and not being able to score much, it hopefully will point towards me hitting on that Nerfy and no runs being scored in the first. We'll see though. As well with that game, I think we have the line has also been really interesting with that game. It started off a little higher towards Detroit and since then has moved towards the Pirates. I believe the money is on Detroit as well. So just something to note within the gambling space or sports betting world in terms of the fact that just sometimes when the line is moving towards a team that doesn't necessarily have the money on it, that kind of means Vegas is backing it.
Yeah, typically, I noticed today let's see here. The percentage. You got 58% of the money.
It's on Detroit, right?
Yeah, 58% of the money on Detroit, 42% on Pittsburgh. The line hasn't really moved towards Detroit's way with all that money going there. So,
yeah, I think it's actually gone towards the Pirates, like I said.
Slightly, yes.
Yeah.
So I lean Pirates here. Skiing 7Ks and Pirates money line is my best
I'm
bet.
not as confident that the Pirates will win, even when Skeens pitches, sometimes they blow it for him. So it's, that's why I took the Nerfy personally, because I think that it's just a better chance that in the first inning nobody scores.
For me, I like the value. Skiing 7Ks and Pirates money line was at plus 200.
Ooh, that's a solid value.
So I'll take that value with those two things. Skeen's usually, if you got to assume if they're winning, he's likely to throw 7.
He's going the distance and probably striking
at least 6 or 7 innings. So
yeah, I agree. I wasn't quite as confident in that, but that's why I went the way I did. But I still love the bet.
Yeah, and Flaherty struggles. First inning he might very well take down the Pirates offense, but I feel like as the game goes on, the Pirates with the 957 OPS and batting 304 against Jack Flaherty, they'll end up getting to him the second or third time through the order.
Yeah, I like the Pirates too. Who was your next one?
As far as the second bet I like today, moving on to the 3:45 start time, Pacific, 6:45 Eastern. We got the Boston Red Sox coming into Philadelphia. Walker Buehler on the mound for the Red Sox against Zach Wheeler for the Phillies. Definitely a matchup that I'm really looking to back the Phillies at the run line, -1.5. Walker Buehler definitely struggling this year. He's had his moments of decent ball, but 6-6 on the year with a 6+ ERA. Definitely not something you're looking to back, especially on the road. Walker Buehler's 3-4 with the 8.66 ERA and 8 starts. So he hasn't really looked good on the road. In general, he hasn't looked great, but on the flip side, Wheeler in 19 starts this year, he's only allowed 4 runs more than 2 runs 4 times. So we're looking at 15 starts where he's allowed 2 runs or less. I'm looking to back that, especially at home. Phillies on the run line, -1.5. Red Sox also on a travel spot from Chicago to Philly. Not necessarily super far at all, but Philly didn't. I'm not sure they had to travel at all. And even if they did, it's not a spot I'm looking to back Boston on a travel spot, plus Walker Buehler on the mound versus Zach Wheeler. Give me Phillies on the run line, -1.5 all day.
Yeah, I liked it too. I took them just -1, so in case it pushes, and a little bit better value in my opinion, just with the -170. But I like the Phillies too. Again, the money was kind of, or I guess more the odds were moving towards them today with that line. So I kind of liked how that one was looking as well. And I agree with the pitching situation. It looks favorable.
I agree. Yeah. It's should be a good game for Wheeler. Had not a struggling outing necessarily, went 6 innings, 4 runs allowed against the Padres on the road last time. But that was before the All-Star break. You get a nice little break, take some time off, come back to it. First start at home, coming back from the break. Definitely a matchup that I'm looking into and looking forward to Phillies winning by multiple runs.
Yeah, hopefully.
As far as the third leg or third, bet I like, we're looking at the Yankees game against visiting the Blue Jays at 4:07 start time for Pacific, 7:07 Eastern. Yankees are -120 against the Jays, who are +100. Jays actually haven't really moved all day at +100.
No, they've been even pretty much the entire time.
Correct. And they've been getting more percentage of the money. So that tells me if I'm looking for a side, I'm looking to back the Yankees or Yankees team total over. My best bet of the day actually for this game, though, is Judge over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. Usually Judge is going to be set at about 2.5 hits, runs, RBIs. This matchup is with Gausman, who he dominates, which makes it a little bit interesting and almost makes me suspect as why is it only 1.5?
Yeah, it's a little weird that his numbers are so low.
But I
like
think
the
sometimes
odds.
Vegas does these things to fuck with your head, get you thinking extra. We're just going to keep it simple with Judge over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs, 16 hits against Gosman and 43 at bats for a 372 average. 6 home runs and 10 walks with over double-digit RBIs.
Money.
I'm looking to slam Judge in any capacity today. Home run is plus 190. I don't hate that.
I liked it. You had to talk me out of it this morning because I was ready to take the gavel and just slam it.
I'm never mad at them, but at the same time, you can get a little better value with RBIs, things of that nature. Judge.
If it was 200 or above, I would be a little bit more tempted. But being plus 190, I hear you on the value.
Yeah, and with 60% of the money coming in on Toronto. I would imagine the over-under is at 8.5. I saw another thing today that said lean under, but then another suggestion that said Yankees team total over. So that tells me that it's likely to be a Yankees dominant game if Rodon could do his thing. We usually torch Gosman. I expect the same here. Take Judge over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. The other thing too. He may not get on base for the hit for half of his at-bats because the Blue Jays are intentionally walking him. But with Stanton hitting better in his last 10 games or so, Bellinger's been on fire. Volpe has been much better the last 2 games. It's only 2 games, but he's been much better. So you got guys behind Judge hitting well. You got guys that are potentially going to drive him in after he gets intentionally walked.
Yeah, he's been intentionally walked at the highest rate in the league.
By the Blue Jays specifically, that their coach does not want to face him whatsoever. So he's going to be on base. Just a matter of will he get on base with a walk, with a hit, and can someone bring him in? I think Judge, again, one more time, 1.5 over hits, runs, RBIs. I'm going to lock that in.
Yeah, and of course we are the double down, so I'm doubling down on it. I'm taking it too. I was really tempted to take that plus 190 for the home runs today, seeing as Judge's home run had more home runs off Gosman than any other pitcher in the league in
his career. Yep.
Yeah, so it felt like a slammer to me to take him the home run, but you did point out to me that over a half RBI, so getting 1 RBI for Judge today is plus 125, so a little lower price than the home run, but if he does get the 1 RBI, that's all you need.
Yeah,
and then
the home run brings RBI too. So you may have been right about the home run, but guess what? All you need was that RBI. And best part about an RBI, you could get one on a sack fly. You could get one on You could get one on a lot of different ways. A lot of different ways. You can walk in an RBI if the bases are loaded.
And then with him being on base with getting walked all the time, that helps out with the runs.
Just more opportunities with the hits, runs, RBIs, and the RBI, as opposed to you need only a home run.
The one downside to it, you do need 2 for it to happen, so you need more things in that sense, but there's more, like you said, more opportunities.
You can get the hit, which brings you on base. It could be a double. A single brings you home, and you already cover.
Yeah, but
you cover in the first inning.
And in that sense, that's why you're looking at a minus 140 for what we took the runs, hits, RBIs.
Yeah, and again, I'm taking the 1.5 because normally it's at 2.5. I'll take advantage of it being at a lower number than it normally is
for still a great cost too.
Correct. I'm not mad at the minus 140, especially if you're putting in a parlay.
Yeah. And then to add on or go on to the next one.
As far as the next game, I like Tampa Bay with Shane Baz on the mound. They're facing Burke and the White Sox, which White Sox did just come off of a sweep of the Pirates, dominated that series. But the number one thing you can bank on for the White Sox is they're probably not winning more than 3 games in a row. They're not really a good baseball team, regardless of how good they're hitting. And yes, they have some pitchers that can go decent at times. But the inevitable is that the White Sox will collapse. I don't see them winning 4 games in a row here, especially traveling to Tampa Bay. Shane Baz, I have in my notes here. Shane Baz has allowed 3 runs or less in 7 of his last 8 starts. So he's giving you quality starts every time he's out there.
That's good stuff.
The White Sox are 14-36 on the road. Not a good road team. On top of that, they bat 225 on the road, so they're not hitting at all on the road. And even worse, against right-handers, they bat 217. So it's just Shane Baz being a right-hander. It's not a good formula for the White Sox. I like the Rays, multiple runs, -1.5. Not much more to go into detail there. Rays they've had up and down the last 2 weeks or so, but coming off of the break, I expect them to fully dominate this series. Try to keep pace with the Yankees and the Jays in that AL East race, and I 100% expect the Rays to dominate this game here today.
I like it. I definitely I didn't exactly touch this game. It was one where I just didn't feel as comfortable or know the team and situation as well. But I love the way that you put that together. I think it's a solid option for sure. I'm liking that. To go on to the next one, did you want to go over the Cubs or did you have another one?
I got the Cubs next. Cubs money line. Keep it simple.
Same here.
Yeah,
it's a -149 when I took it. I don't know if the lines have changed since. I
got it at -149 as well. Keeping it simple. Cubs are going with an opener and Ryan Brazier, reliever, but definitely one of their better relievers. Sub 2, maybe. I think it's maybe even a 1-point-something ERA out of the pen. He may only give you an inning or two, but the Cubs pen has been pretty decent the last month or so. The Royals offense, just for note as well, they just simply can't hang with the Cubs offense. Cubs offense is second in runs in the league as opposed to the complete opposite.
We're second now? Man, we were first not that long ago.
Yeah, the complete opposite, though, is the Royals. They're 29th in the league in runs. So clearly just complete polar opposites in terms of offensives. Royals are also traveling from Tampa, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Facing the Rays, the Marlins. They were, if I'm
Florida
not
still.
Either way, they're traveling
basically same distance.
They're traveling from Florida to
East
Chicago.
Coast.
I don't bank on the Royals to be scoring many runs here, regardless of who's on the mound. Excuse me. For either team, Cubs on the money line. Again, no reason to overthink this pick. They've been hot, and the Royals just simply can't hang with them offensively.
No, I don't think so either. I do have the Cubs money line as well. Like I said, I feel like Suzuki has been really hot lately.
Tearing the cover off the ball.
Yeah, so
deservedly an all-star, but unfortunately was not named one. Very tragic.
Yeah, it felt like he definitely should have been.
Agreed.
And then, Kyle Tucker and Pete Crow have had their burst throughout the season as well. So to your point, that's why they're one of the best offenses and scoring teams in the league in terms of runs. So I see them continuing that trend in this series as well.
Yeah, especially being at home, that's where they do their damage most of the time. Much better home team. I don't see if KC hangs with them, it'll probably be through the first 5, and then I would expect KC to Chicago to kind of pull away towards the end.
Yeah, same here. And as far as the line, I think it's only moved more towards the Cub. It opened at -135 for the Cubs, and now they're -150. So
yeah, it's been towards the Cubs all day. Again, don't expect KC to do much today, especially on a travel spot. Very similar to the Red Sox travels. A lot of these teams were taking Chicago, Cubs at home, Phillies at home, Rays at home, Pittsburgh even at home. A lot of other teams are on travel spots, especially after a Sunday. You're starting a new week. Yeah, it may seem just like any other day, but mentally that's different. You're like, all right, we got to start this week on the road. It's instead of at home, you're more comfortable. It's a different mindset.
For the Tigers, it's we're starting on the road and against Skeens.
Against Skeens is not fun, sure, especially when they have bad numbers against them as it is.
Yeah, precisely.
As far as my final game that I have on the ledger, the Dodgers and the Twins.
You talk about the Athletics? I think you might have.
I personally did not have that game.
Okay.
I lean Athletics in that game.
I didn't touch the game necessarily, although I think the money, I think the line is leaning towards the Athletics so far today as well.
Yeah, I'd rather take the plus money with the A's.
Yeah, and I didn't necessarily take the game, but I do think that one of our favorite rookies and hottest players in the league this year has been Jacob Wilson. Wilson. The last thing that I took real quick is an over of 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs for him as well to, add on to the Judge one that I have. He's done that multiple times this season in hits alone. So hopefully he can get on base today and get that over for me.
I think he should cover that. I also think the other side of that game is I'd lean over 8.5 for A's and Rangers.
I think it'll be high scoring too.
Correct. So I think he'll be a part of that. I think there'll be no issue at all getting that over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs.
Hopefully, man.
Yeah. So outside of that though, onto the final game, at least for my picks. Definitely not one that it's probably my least confident play, but a play that I still believe in nonetheless. I like Dodgers money line. I know the line has moved more towards the Twins. I'm not a huge fan of David Festa. I don't think he's that good. Twins are traveling from Colorado, which isn't that far of a travel spot, but they did lose 2 out of 3 to the Rockies. And yes, you could say the Dodgers are in probably their roughest stretch within the last year and a half, maybe.
Straight up.
But at the same time, 6 of those 12 losses in this stretch have come to the Brewers. The Brewers just seem to own them for this stretch.
They have their number this year.
They do, and that sometimes happens. It's the case sometimes for whatever reason. Freddie Freeman got hit on the hand, I know, recently, so that's not necessarily encouraging for their lineup.
Doesn't bode well, but
Twins on the road, not necessarily a great team. They're such an up and down team that it's just not something you want to necessarily back. If you do decide to back the Twins, I would back it in the form of Byron Buxton, potentially. The other side of that is too, the Twins could be sellers at the deadline or buyers. If you see them as sellers, you might see a guy like Willie Castro from their lineup be removed during the game, something of that nature. Something like that can happen. So keep that in mind around this time of year for any given game. I did also get an update before we did this podcast. The Pirates are they're looking to be extreme sellers at this deadline.
Interesting.
Obviously, that probably doesn't mean Skeens, but you never know. If they want the mother load, they could sit there and dangle Skeens over certain teams. They probably don't want to pay, and the Pirates have never paid really anybody. They've had all-star pitchers leave their teams because they trade it, whatever the case may be. But I'm taking Dodgers on the money line. Just some quick notes. David Festa has never faced the Dodgers lineup. Usually that's advantage pitcher. In this case, I think that's advantage hitters because Festa is not a dominant pitcher. And to be a pitcher that's not dominant, to sift your way through this lineup, whether Freddie Freeman's in it or not, it's a tough task.
Yeah.
I watched Festa the other day give up 4 runs to it was the Marlins, I think, very quickly within 2 innings. So, yes, the Marlins have been hot in a sense, but they're not the Dodgers offense when the Dodgers offense is right. And the Dodgers offense, aside from the Brewers, if you look at the last 3 series, they got swept by the Brewers, won 2 out of 3 against the Giants on the road, and then got swept by the Brewers again. So clearly it was mainly the Brewers that were the issue. Giants, they won 2 out of 3. To me, Twins are not a consistent enough team to sit here and try to take at this price. Especially if you would have got them when they were plus 170, plus 180, when the Dodgers were minus 200 to minus 220. Yeah. But Dodgers at this price, I'll take them. The other thing too, last bit of information, the Twins batters have had a total of 47 at-bats for those who have faced Ohtani. Yes, he may only go 3 to 4 innings maximum, but they only have 4 runs in 47 at-bats against Ohtani, and they're batting 170 total. So I don't think they're going to get to Ohtani today, especially Ohtani being at home. It's going to be up to the bullpens for both teams. And the other side of the Twins bullpen, too, is Griffin Jackson, Johan Duran, amazing relievers for them this year, possibly could get traded. So all of a sudden, you may see that who knows? It could happen tonight, tomorrow. It could happen in a week. You could see Johan Duran all of a sudden, boom, not available because he's traded. So keep that in mind for teams that are sellers like the Twins potentially. But yeah, again, last bit of note, 170 against Ohtani, the Twins hitters, and Dodgers have never faced Festa. But I think this is a good opportunity for the Dodgers offense to wake up and truly, get back to themselves. I think Mookie specifically has to be the one to step up with Freddie out and Mookie's struggles this year so far. He's got to be the guy. So look for Mookie to potentially do something tonight.
Yeah, especially if they're going to, turn this thing around at the moment. I think
they got to, he's got to, Ohtani's been doing his thing. It's got to be Mookie to step up and make sure he can carry the load that now Freddie may have left in his absence.
Yeah, for the time being. I definitely agree. I think if you're gonna need a guy to step it up, Mookie Betts is a great player to need to step up. So
yeah, he's got the capability, and I think he will.
Yeah. I think that was it in terms of what we had for our lays of the day. If you want to go over yours real quick one more time, we can do that.
Yeah, real quickly. First game, Paul Skeens, 7 strikeouts, and Pittsburgh to win the game. That's plus 200. We got Philadelphia Phillies at -1.5. We got that at -105. Love that price. We got Aaron Judge over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs at -140. We also have the Cubs at -149 money line, Rays -110 at -1.5, and then the Dodgers -165 for our final 6. The 6 best bets we like for today. If you do put that in a parlay, all of those at the prices I got it at, it's about $720. If you put about $14-15 on there, so you're getting some decent profit there. I don't necessarily recommend putting them all in a lay like that. Maybe 2, 3-teamer, 4-teamer, whatever you like best.
Probably a little bit smarter with your money.
I mean, no matter what you want to do, those are my best plays of the day, though. If you're going to ask me for a lock, though, the lock is 100% going to be the Cubs on the money line over the Royals. And my dog is that plus 200 Skeens and the Pirates. Skeens 7 strikeouts and the Pirates to win.
That's what's up. I'll put that on the ticker here now that I got my other monitor working here for a sec. But real quick, I'll try to move this guy out of the way since we already know Skeens is going to shut them down. You know what I mean? There's mine in the corner over there, though. If you can see that one, that's my 6-teamer that I got today, next to Rashee Rice right there. No, the Nerfy in the Detroit and Pittsburgh game. I have the Nationals at plus 103 against the Reds at money line. Then I took the Phillies -1, basically like you did with your -1.5 against the Red Sox. I got the -170 at the price, though, and then Cubs money line at basically 150, 149. And then the 2 over 1.5 runs, hits, RBIs, or hits, runs, RBIs, my bad, that are basically 140 and 145 each. So about the same price with Jacob Wilson and Judge, 2 of the best hitters in baseball, as Beasley likes to let us know in the background there. Yeah. But yeah, that is our lays for the day. I feel quite good about those in general, and I think it'll be a fun afternoon seeing if those pan out for us. Otherwise, though, we did have a question in the comments, and I do think that we can do this kind of a segment towards the end of our shows. Not necessarily a question, but let me see if I can put this up here. It says in 2024, Joe Burrow bought 1 of 10 replicas of the Batmobile from the Dark Knight film trilogy for $2.9 million to add to his car collection. Said a good friend of the show, Timothy.
Yeah, unfortunately, Tim, that is that was going to be a purchase, but officially after Joe Burrow's home was broken into and things were pawned by a pawn shop from his, items that he owned that were stolen.
Yeah.
Once that all happened to him in that situation, he actually canceled his Batmobile order because he felt that there was definitely more important things to worry about, which after getting your home broken into, I can agree, as much as we all want to be Batman, whether we can afford it or not, definitely a better idea to, maybe put that money towards some more security. Granted, he was on the road when it happened, and some other stuff happened with a lady, but that's a separate story. And if anything, kudos to Joe for that.
Straight up, yeah. That is 100% true. And again, next time I'm going to have a little bit more stuff set up. This is our first stream, so appreciate everybody for joining in. And if you are new to the channel and enjoying the content that we're bringing to you, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. We're going to try to get some podcasts up on some other platforms as well, so stay tuned for that. And just hit that little bell to make sure you're notified whenever we do go live. There's definitely going to be some more stuff coming here in the near future, and we're really excited to get into not only this NFL season, but the rest of the MLB season and all of the sports that we got going on in general. So I'm excited to kick off this first episode with my co-host here, and happy to have all of you guys in the comments here with us as well.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. Thanks for showing up and showing out. No matter how many there are, we always appreciate it. We'll be looking forward to more shows in the future, more information. We'll try to keep you up to date as we can on certain info, news, content, whatever the case may be. We'll have some more bets probably in the future as well.
Definitely some more Dylan Sampson inspired stuff. And yes, maybe I am a little biased with the name, but hey, it's going to happen, guys. It's going to happen. He's breaking out for sure.
Guaranteed. Yeah. We'll see about all that. But we appreciate it. We thank you for tuning in, and good luck on your bets. Bet smart, bet wise, and bet with the house money.
Oh, always. Thank you all though for being here. I'm gonna get this guy out of the way so that we can close out properly from the comments. Oh.
Also, last take real quick. Braves money line is live.
Braves
money line
is live indeed.
Thank me. See, Beasley thinks so too. Thank me when the Braves win.
They will absolutely do that. Thank you all though. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your Monday and a fantastic rest of your week. And may the bets fare you well. Double down on them things.
May the odds forever be in your favor.
Indeed. Thank you all, though. Peace out.